Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Everline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Care Sandwich. I have the distinguished pleasure to introduce David Willingham, and he is a crim attorney. And he's going to talk to us about all sorts of really amazing things that he's doing at his law firm. But before that, David, tell us about yourself, about your practice, and tell us about your favorite sandwich.
That's the most important part.
Yes.
Probably a good Reuben. I don't know that you can go wrong with that.
Okay.
So my background is that I'm born and raised in the Atlanta area. I grew up in Snellville. Found myself in Atlanta for college and law school, and then landed in Marietta to start practicing law in 2009, and landed with a criminal law firm. Spent about 2 years doing that, and then I got recruited to be an assistant DA in Cobb County, so I was with the district attorney's office for about 2.5 years, and then ever since 2013, I've had my own firm, Willingham Law Firm. We're based here in downtown Marietta, and I focus a lot on DUI defense. But it's any criminal defense ranging from, helping someone out with a speeding ticket all the way up to murder cases, literally, and everything in between.
Okay. So, David, I have an interesting and random question to ask you just because of something that happened. Like right now we're recording this. It's going to be released later, but we're in the holiday season.
Yeah.
Have you ever represented another attorney in a DUI case? Like, I'm fascinated by this just because I heard a story about like a couple weekends ago because it's like Christmas party season. Like, how do you do that? Like, would you represent another attorney in a DUI case?
Well, it's funny you say that. If our viewers go on to A&E and look at a series called Killer Cases,
yeah,
I think it's season 4. There's an infamous attorney I represented named Richard Merritt, who, it wasn't a DUI. It was actually a very serious case. It ended up being such a crazy case, they made a documentary out of it. But I just say that to say, like, that's an extreme example of a high-profile case where I've represented a lawyer. But I represent people from all walks of life.
I love it.
When people get DUIs, it's people like me and you, not that a lot of people have had a DUI, but, it's very easy to make a bad decision after a Christmas party or something like that, and you think you're okay to drive, and you're probably not, and you get pulled over, or maybe you are okay, and the cops, not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, you get arrested
or pulls you over because one of your lights is out, right? It happens.
So to answer your question, though, I've represented, doctors, pilots, teachers, people with different careers and different lines of work, and so I have represented attorneys on DUIs, and it's funny. Attorneys are sometimes the most difficult clients because they already know everything that they know, and so sometimes it's hard to be objective and sort of separate yourself from a case, but yeah, quick shameless plug again. We're on A&E Killer Cases, and very.
You read my mind. I was going to ask you to repeat that. Yeah. So how do we find this episode?
Very high-profile case, very bonkers case, and I won't spoil it, but definitely hopefully what will be the most insane case of my career.
What's the episode name, or how would I search for the episode? So I go to A&E Killer Cases and I look up which episode.
It's season 4, The Last Meal.
Season 4. Okay. And what is the episode name again?
The Last Meal.
The Last Meal?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
It wasn't a sandwich. It wasn't a sandwich.
I was going to
forget it. You'll see what I'm talking about.
So, David, you're the attorney that other attorneys can trust with their case. How did you get there? How did you become that go-to guy, that go-to firm for other attorneys? Talk to us about that. That's very impressive.
Well, my background is being very good academically, yet also being very good personally with people. And so I try to mix both skill sets. And so a lot of times when other attorneys are referring me cases or bringing me in on not necessarily their case, but maybe it's a loved one or somebody close to them, or it's something out of their practice area, and they want to make sure the client's well taken care of, they can trust me to be competent, and not just competent, but above and beyond competent. So my reputation is for being very successful at jury trials, being very successful with academic issues and motions and stuff like that, and doing good with appeals. And so people come to me and trust me because I'm not only good in the courtroom, I've got the legal chops, but I just relate very well to people, and I'm very good with juries and stuff like that. And so what I like to tell people is like, look, you need a tour guide to guide you through this process. Court's a foreign language. It's a foreign concept. I have to go to court. What is court? What's a judge do? What's going to happen when I'm there? And I'm very good at sort of just being that comfort and that person to sort of guide people through a scary time.
So a lot of law firm owners that I've come across would love to be in your position where they're the go-to person for case referrals. Walk us through some practical things that you did that were maybe simple, that anybody can do, that any other attorney, law firm owner can do to network. Because like most attorneys, I'm sure you're like a super busy guy. You're not, I don't think you're going out like all the time and networking, but walk us through, like, how do you fit it into your schedule? How do you decide what events to go to? And how do you network with other attorneys?
I think an important thing for me has been staying up on other practice areas. And what I mean by that is, you can read the Court of Appeals decisions weekly or monthly to kind of get an idea of what the current case law says about personal injury or divorce or property law. And, you don't need to spend a ton of your time nerding out, but if you have...
How do you stop yourself? Like, I don't know about you, but when I get curious about something, I go down some rabbit holes, and the next
thing you have to. And it's not only that, but it's combining that with getting yourself out and interacting and socializing with people in those practice areas. Because if you have a good working knowledge of what's going on in other practice areas, it's a conversation starter, and people can see that you get it. And what I mean by that is being a good lawyer is not just knowing what's in your lane, but it's knowing all the lanes, because there's so much intersection and fluidity and cross-pollination, whatever word you want to use. There's so much blending that goes on in the legal world between practice areas. I heard a divorce lawyer say one time that they're half divorce lawyer, half CPA tax lawyers. They have to know so much of the federal tax code to be a good divorce lawyer. Right. And so for me, it's getting out and networking with those people. Maybe it's a PI lawyer that, I'm talking to them and I understand what a Holt demand is, or I understand what it means to get the policy limit, something like that. And they say, oh, this guy kind of gets it. He can kind of speak our language. He must really know about criminal. The next time I have a client that catches a DUI, I'm sending them to this guy.
That is so smart. So I'm going to repeat what you said in my own words, because it helps me make sure that I understood properly and I can outline it as steps. So step one is you get familiar with other practice areas, not with the goal that you're going to go down there, but you're getting context so that when you come across attorneys that work in those areas, you have enough context of what their life is like, that you can actually create a meaningful connection. I'm going to say it that way because I see a lot of law firm owners do like a speed dating kind of networking, and then they're like, networking with other attorneys is a waste of my time, right? But their approach is, like, I'm pretending this is you. Hi, I'm David. I'm a crim attorney. You're a PI. Let's refer each other cases. Okay, bye, right? But it sounds like you're going deeper than that.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Definitely going deeper. And like I said, there's a lot of cross-pollination because I'll have plenty of clients that have personal injury cases, but they also have criminal cases going on. And maybe it's the PI lawyer that's hired me because someone got the ticket in the accident and they shouldn't have got the ticket. if the ticket's not resolved favorably in criminal court, the PI case is going to fall apart. So there is a lot of cross-pollination, but it also helps me to advise clients. And, the bigger clients that I have, their issues are multifaceted. Maybe they're going through a really tough divorce and they've got tax issues. They've got issues with the house and the real estate issues. They've got divorce. They've got criminal because maybe, God forbid, there's an allegation of domestic violence, or
I've heard that a lot from divorce attorneys, actually. Yeah, protective orders and all of that.
Right. Yeah, TPOs, like restraining orders. So you kind of have to have this team mindset, and where my skill set comes in is I'm a good quarterback and a good manager of multiple things moving around at the same time. And so people trust me to be a good manager of other people's affairs.
That's amazing. I hope you're enjoying the conversation and your sandwich as much as we are. I want to take a moment to share a few words about our sponsor, Marketing Boss. If you're a law firm owner looking to supercharge your growth, our team at Marketing Boss is here to help. We've got over a decade of experience and a proven track record, and we specialize in growing law firms like yours with data-driven marketing leadership. So if you own a law firm and you're ready to get a predictable, steady flow of cases from your marketing, let's connect at marketing-boss.com. And David, when it comes to growing your practice the way that you just described, and also managing your caseload and taking good care of your clients, what are some of the best tips that you can give us that, if I'm a law firm owner and I'm listening to this and I'm like, wow, this guy makes time for networking, for, nerding out a little bit on other areas of the law, and, and then he's still like working his cases, like walk us through, like, how do you do that with your firm, through your firm?
Well, I think it's obviously a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hours, but, believe it or not, it took the pandemic for the criminal law world to kind of get with it, like to get with doing things virtually and doing things paperless. And so whereas before we would file everything hard copies, everything's done virtually now. And so I think it's just making your practice very efficient in terms of the day-to-day tasks. So we do everything e-file now and things like that. But I also think it's just connecting with people. Like if you talk to someone on a human level and try to figure out what they need and how to get them to the achieved result, like that's going to keep paying dividends, and you're never wasting your time doing that. Like my phone's always on. Maybe that's a bad thing, but I do take client calls, 9 or 10 o'clock at night when they're freaking out about something, or God forbid they've gotten pulled over. And I think it's just about maintaining your reputation as someone that people can go to whenever they really need something. And in terms of managing the practice, I think it just, it's gotten a lot better since we went virtual and paperless. We're paperless here at my office, and it's really just managing the calendar and trying to hit all those court appearances.
It sounds like you focus on running optimized practice as much as possible so that you can have the time and the freedom to go deeper in your relationships with your clients. David, a lot of attorneys that I talk to, they feel like if once they open up the floodgates of like, oh, I give my clients my phone number so they can call me if they get pulled over at 1 a.m, right? How do you set boundaries to make sure that you're still living, you're having a quality of life and you're not getting like sucked into all of that?
Well, I think you just have to set expectations early on in the client relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, you can text me, but if I don't respond for 24 hours, here's why. Just clear communication. But the other thing we run up against as criminal lawyers is, we can be as efficient as we want in our private business and run our firm well, get everything filed, get everything scanned. Like we can maintain a very orderly, clean house, right? But the house that's not so orderly is the government, and we have to go. We have to go to court with these people, these judges, staff, clerks, prosecutors, who, a lot of them I love them to death. They're great people personally, but professionally they don't have the same incentives that we do. I mean, the government's always going to be there, so they're not efficient.
They're going to get their paycheck whether they,
And so a lot of times you run up against inefficiency in the court system, making you inefficient. And it's a very big juggling act. I mean, with criminal attorneys, we're out there in the world. We have to make time to find, the time to go to 4 court appearances on one day at the same time. We have to figure out how we're going to get to everything, and then figure out how we're going to meet with new clients in the afternoon, and then take those emergency calls where we're trying to put out fires. And so it is very much a skill set, and a lot of it has to do with pushing back on the inefficiency of government and saying, hey, instead of driving for an hour down to Atlanta or whatever it is to tell you something that I could tell you over email, would the judge accept this emailed announcement or something like that? So.
Do you do court visits, or not court visits, I'm sorry, jail visits and things like that?
That's a really good question. So again, government inefficiency, it would be great if all the jails use the same software, but they don't. But they do offer software, most of them, to where you can meet with clients virtually, you can meet with them on your computer, in your office, which is really, really nice. But yeah, we do have to make sort of those jail rounds, once a week or so.
Right, because I've heard, that like from other crim attorneys in other states where that can take up a huge chunk of time.
Right.
And really affect, I'm going to say, the life cycle of the attorney with that. It's like you're in the car, like not really doing anything, but that's still your time that you're spending on your case.
Yeah.
So I would love, I know this is not as much of an issue, but if you were in another state, like how would you handle that where you don't have that option? Like how would you set those expectations with your clients, or how did you back before, the Zoom thing?
Well, most of my clients are out of custody. Fortunately for me, I don't have a practice where it's, majority clients are facing felony charges in jail without bond.
Yeah.
There are a number of clients in jail, and a lot of it's talking to their family who are going to talk to them before you do and just say, look, here's when I'm going to be by there. I'll be by when I have an update, But the other thing is, like, it's so competitive out here as criminal defense lawyers because there's so many of us out here. The market's kind of saturated. Mm-hmm. Somebody that gets that DUI, they go on Google or whatever, like they're going down the list just like anything else. Yeah. And if I'm at Disney World with my 3 daughters and the phone rings and it's somebody that says, hey, I got your name from so-and-so, I got a DUI last night, I'm going to have to hit pause for about 20 minutes and go over my elevator speech with that person and to try to get them.
Gotcha.
And it just is what it is. A lot of criminal lawyers have to do it, and but after enough time and after you've done it enough, your reputation kind of precedes you, and it's a little bit easier because when business comes through a referral, a trusted advisor, they're kind of already sold on you. But there is that element to it where you do have to kind of be on the phone, selling yourself on a moment's notice.
Absolutely. I always chuckle when somebody says, "Oh, I don't do any marketing." Really? Referrals are marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's you advertising the quality of your service, your reputation. That is a form of marketing, and a lot of people forget how important that is, and providing the follow-up, the follow-through, and the great service. So, David, I could talk to you all day. I am going to wrap this up by asking you, how can people get in touch with you if they want to refer you cases? What kind of cases should they refer to you? And then how can people get in touch with you if they want to hire you?
Sure. So my website is davidwillingham.com. I think one of our URLs is also cobbcountyduyLawyer.com.
Okay.
But contact info is on the website. My cell phone is the main office number. Again, maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but I'm always accessible. Always accessible over phone or text, and I'm a really good, fast communicator, and I like to connect with people, and I like people to refer me cases where they genuinely think I can help. So, but literally anything criminal. If you got a college kid with a super speeder ticket, a DUI, a colleague has a DUI, or something even more serious, and I handle it all. So.
Awesome. So there you have it, folks. You can get a hold of David 24/7 on his cell phone while he's at Disney World, and he may or may not pick up the phone, but you'll get a call back in 24 hours. I love it, David. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time, keep caring, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next episode of Care Sandwich.